Good morning, Icon friends and family. Today's video is going to be kind of fun because I got a rare opportunity where I have two FJ44s done at exactly the same time in the same Rocky Mountain gray color, but one is done old school and one is done in our new school design package. So not only was I thinking it'd be more efficient on my time and let me get back to the shop quicker, but I also thought this would give us a really cool opportunity to describe in more detail the specific differences between a new school and an old school. You with me? Let's give it a shot. So, on my right, we have unit number 147, FJ44, old school edition. On my left, we have unit 146, Icon FJ44, new school edition. As previously mentioned, both are done in the original Icon color, the Rocky Mountain Gray, which is a Teflon polyester SDIC powder coat finish. As you may know, the bodies are 5052 H32 unannealed aluminum, and they're actually built by a boat maker up in Canada, a company called Aqualoo that we've been working with for many, many years. The 44 was originally built in response for clients saying, well, actually clients' wives saying, yeah, the truck's cool, that's a lot of money. The only reason I'm gonna tolerate such an expense is if you get one big enough to take all of the kids and all their friends the heck out of here so I can have some free time on the weekends. So here you go, we did it. And actually, I'm really happy that that first client pushed us for that. Thank you to his wife specifically, because it's actually become the #1 most popular model that we offer. And they're great because that extra wheelbase obviously is a cheat for ride quality, so super smooth compared to the shortest wheelbase FJ40. And then by being able to seat up to 6 people, or in some special cases where clients have us do really unique seating configurations, you can seat up to 7. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of what is the same between the two. Now, all the mechanical engineering that is tried, tested, proven to be stellar stays consistent between new school and old school. So really, the only differences between them are really touch points, tactile, visual elements that have no impact on engineering other than a old school is lighter weight than a new school, predominantly because of my bumper design. But they just have completely different kind of vibes and personalities. So body structures are the same. If you were to order an old school Icon, you are forced into the old school forged aluminum wheels. The standard finish is illustrated on this truck, and that finish is consistent with the bumpers as well as the interior trim, roll bar, dash panels, etc. Focusing merely on the exterior, your differences would be a stock vintage 1960s, 70s factory Toyota style bumper, which we're fortunately still able to get brand new from Toyota. And in the rear, we run the same traditional bumperettes, as they're called, the little U-shaped thingamajiggers. We always run the old school wheels. The mirrors are always the same, but again, the color palette is unique on the old school in this sort of gray finish versus those all go with the volcanic black. New school bumpers, I mean, new school general vibe, right, is more like technical, industrial, man-machine, versus this is a little less imposing, a little bit more vintage and retro, and arguably, I've actually seen this happen. Like, if I'm at an event or whatever, going hiking or drive a 44 or whatever, an FJ old school, people are like, oh, this is so cool, and they like walk right up to it like it was your Labrador Retriever. Versus when people see a new school, they get about this close and they're like, what the heck is this? And it's a bit more off-putting, so slightly more intimidating, and it just, I don't know, it's just a different vibe. Now, when we launched the brand, I felt everything had to be new school because the Icon concept of how we approach evolving the experience and the way that we took a much more CAD-intensive, progressive approach to all of the engineering changes that we did I think if I had launched the brand with something that looked like a traditional Resto Mod, FJ, like people wouldn't have digested that. So New School was the only school. Now, 10 plus years in, people understand the brand, they get what we're about, they understand that we're unique in the market in our approach to the mechanical engineering. So it was high time to introduce Old School, and I'm super stoked that not only did we, but that people are buying them and they're digging them as much as I do. Further details on New School. If you order New School, I give you more wheel options, but this is the most popular New School, again, made in California, forged aluminum wheel. It has the funky spinner caps in the rear caps, which, dare I say, is kind of the only superfluous thing on the builds, but it's kind of cool when you see them blazing down the trail or the highway and the lizards just floating along. I don't know, maybe well, yes, we know I am a geek. Bumper in the front is an integrated bull bar. It's our design and manufacture here in Cali. It's all US cold rolled steel, beautiful welds, no grinding, everything's revealed. Fog lights are integrated, as is the Fairlead input for the winch. We run the same winch on either. It seems thus far most Old Schools, people don't do a winch, but when they do, we do it in the traditional quarter plate platform style deck, running the same winch that we run in the New School, which is from our friends at Warren. It's the 9.5 TTI, and it's a kick-ass winch. We've been super stoked. On either edition, we run the Fairlead and recovery gear bag from our buddies at Viking, and then it's the ARB gear bag with some of the best of the ARB stuff complemented with some of the superior stuff that comes out of Viking. So it gives you your tree wrap, your come along, your winch pull cable, some D-shackles, and like sort of the basic recovery stuff, some nice gloves and stuff too. Both of these are on the roof rack. Generally with the Old School, we do not run the ladder. I'm not really sure why, but in certain color combos, it looks more retro not to run the ladder. Whereas on the New Schools, there is always the ladder, and the ladder's on the passenger side so that you're on the curb side if you're in town and not in the middle of the street. These roof racks, by the way, they're quiet, they don't make wind noise. Went through a lot of iterations and testing to get that dynamic right. And they are independent of the soft top. So they actually mount to the structural roll bar or H bar, which means there's sandwich plates with little rubber isolators, and the canvas top is merely a pass-through material. Now, if you want to remove that rack so you can get into parking garages and stuff and only put the rack on when you need it, we fab little square 4-studded plates that you can put on the exterior surface when the rack is removed. In the rear, again, bumperettes on that. The dual carrier icon pivot bumper with Class 2 receiver is always on the New School. Also with the dual pivot icon rear bumper, we spent a lot of time working on the design and engineering of those, and it's probably one of the details I'm proudest of our success. No rattles, no spare tire wobble, fluted hardened steel shafts that are not part of the carrier into the bumper, which is the traditional approach, very popular with the higher quality Australian bumpers. Who the hell needs wheel bearings and a grease seal on a tire hinge carrier? You're not spinning it down the road. So instead, we found that it is much more structural integrity if you 3-axis brace the shaft from the chassis and primary bumper and have that shaft extend out of the primary bumper. So then the carrier simply sleeves and indexes on that. That shaft is fluted. The carrier body has a fitting on it, so it's greasable with a top cap. CNC T-shaped handles for good ergonomics when opening and closing those carriers. Class 2 hitch integrated within. Reverse camera, you'll notice, is on both. On these, we do it into the stock looking frame cross member. On the New School, it's integral with the bumper. And thanks actually to a YouTube channel input comment, we oriented it so it's, I don't know why I didn't think of that after all the things I obsess over. It's above the hitch carrier, so if you're docking and connecting to your trailer, your boat, it's kick-ass and gives you a good sight line. You'll also notice that when those carriers are open, there's CNC'd ramped pins, and then there's sprung, I think they're from the marine world, pins. So the carrier swings out, it hits 90 degrees, and it locks at 90. It won't continue to go out into traffic and cause serious problems, nor will it continue to go out and smack your body, nor will it allow those to not be fully open. You go to drop your tailgate, you screw up your body finish, that all sucks. And then to close it, you just simply quickly manually lift that pin, close it, and party on. But before you do so, please notice those two locking storage bins. Always seem weird to me when people do these style bumpers. Again, use every inch you can to create utility and functionality. So we have two locking storage bins that are united using the same key as the doors, the console, and many other provisions. And those have drains because they're not really 100% waterproof, but you can put like your dirty gloves, your muddy boots, or whatever the heck you want in there, but it was dead space, so we wanted to use it for something. Badging. New School runs the Icon sort of Everlast designed piece, which are quite lovely. And then I thought it was kind of fun to go, again, more retro with the badging on the Old School. So this badge is inspired by the earliest FJ40 badges, which were by far the best. Kick-ass typeface font, nice machine details. So we basically took the original font and reinterpreted it for Icon, and it'll say respectively, you know, FJ40, 43, 45, 44, whatever it is that you order. Mechanically, both of these trucks are set up extremely similar. So they're running the truck application, but basically the LS3 aluminum 6.2 420 horse fuel injected V8. We're running the truck application FIAD, which is front engine accessory drive, as well as the truck application injectors and intake assembly, so that the torque and power curve is more appropriate for the weight of these trucks. In this case, both of these trucks are running the 4L65E 4-speed with overdrive General Motors automatic transmission, which is sending power through to the Atlas 2 twin-stick shift-on-the-fly part-time four-wheel drive transfer case. Wow, I did it in one breath this time. Axles, Dynatrac manufactured, Dana-based architecture, 100% new down to the castings. Front, Dana 44, fine spline superior axle internals. Rear, Dana 60 Pro Rock high pinion Dynatrac design. And the center of the axles on both of these trucks, you will find the ARB front and rear locking differentials options, which comes with its own dedicated air compressor. Outboard ends of the axles on both of these trucks, of course, you'll find the beloved Icon Brembo Sport brakes, 6-piston front calipers, 4-piston rear, T4041 hardware 2-piece hat, vented slotted rotors, and tons of braking power. Those are powered by a Hydro Boost assisted master cylinder. Master is from Willwood, and I love Hydro Boost. Not only do you get really good sort of feedback pedal sensitivity, which you did not used to get on Hydro Boost. It used to be super jumpy, but you get a ton of stopping pressure. The multiples with Hydro Boost for hydraulic pressure versus a vacuum assist or manual master, there's just absolutely no comparison. So it's really a game changer. For suspension, both trucks are set up with the optional Icon Sport suspension, which means across even without sport, right? It's coilover adjustable Fox Racing components, Eibach coils, hybrid from different suppliers, but adjustable blade arm, sway bars, torsion bar style front and rear. What's different about the sport suspension, you might ask? Well, the sport suspension adds the nitrogen charge and the remote canisters on the front and rear shocks. So there's 2 points of adjustability that you manually do directly on those accessible cans. One is high-speed rebound, the other is low-speed rebound, and you can really dial in the suspension based on who you are, where you are, and what you like, and how you're going to use and load the truck. We generally have a sweet spot that we like to set them up to, unless the client specifies overland, it's going to be geared with a lot of junk in it or whatever, and then we'll fine-tune it from there. Other mechanical details, of course, they all run mandrel bent, TIG welded, food grade, stainless steel exhaust systems. They all run a closed element air filter and intake box, 3/4 ton drive shafts, 3/4 ton steering mechanisms, boxes from our friends at PSC. I hate crimped fittings. They suck. They make sense for local auto parts stores to make their lives easy and for large automotive manufacturers to make their costs low. Personally, well, my costs aren't low, so I just need to own it and love it and go, sorry guys, it is what it is. If it is what it is, let's make it all about quality. And that's the point of the brand. So you will find thousands of dollars of top quality AN fittings used throughout all systems. They last forever. They never fail. They're in the planes over our head. They're on the trains on our rail tracks. They're on our military gear. It's just a no-brainer. They're 10 times better. Same theory follows through everything that we geek out on and do. But for example, the electrical systems all cross-link wire. We use Bussmann fuse panels, which are US made and top quality. We use Bosch relays. We use these kick-ass military bulkhead multi-pin connectors that are waterproof. Triple seal connectors. And what's crazy is a lot of this stuff you will never even see, but it's really cool, and a client's owned an Icon for a decade. And he finds himself in some nook and cranny of the truck for some reason. And he keeps peeling back over the years, or she, the layers of the onion that are Icon. And they'll notice some little trick, kick-ass, unnecessarily cool and well thought through detail or connector or coating. And that just tickles us all pink because we care. It's the whole point of the brand, is to really try and elevate and keep pushing back. Also on the exterior, on the front fenders, you'll notice the configurations are slightly different. So if you're gonna run an old school, we're always gonna run this more retro appearing, but still LED headlight. And we're also gonna run the original steel-bodied 1960s style FJ40 front turn signal assemblies, versus if you're gonna roll new school, then you are gonna be rolling with the turn signals integrated in the halo rings around the Icon branded LED headlights. We also offer the mil-spec, sort of funky polarized looking, some love, some hate, directional focus LED headlights as a separate option. Both versions come with the early style FJ40 bib lights, which are also tied into your primary circuits. And the headlight bezels are always volcanic black on new school versus the trim gray on the old school. Got it? You with me so far? Moving on to the interior. Now these trucks will not be ideal for comparing new school and old school standard spec, but I suppose they are good in showing that we're flexible and we do custom stuff. So in the case of this old school, we are running the Chilowich interior with the Chilowich mats and the Marine rated OEM Tier 1, it's actually BMW application vinyl. The configuration on the old school is running 4 captain's chairs with the seat heaters, Chilowich inserts, and jump seats for the 3rd row. In the new school, this one has a custom interior, which is a combination of top quality leathers. We're running it's kind of like a charcoal, almost black top grain leather. It's has a really good oily pull-up, if you know what I mean, if you're a leather geek like me. And then we perforated the centers because visually it adds more texture and dimension. If it's all solid leather, to me it starts to like, it just looks blah. It also complements the optional seat heaters, which are 3-stage carbon fiber heat blankets, because with the perforation, not only is the heat allowed to permeate from the carbon blanket quicker, but during the summer, keeps your ass from cooking as much because there's some manner of ventilation. 3rd row in this truck is running the Icon 2-passenger tuck and tumble removable bench. That, you know, should you do a bench, should you do jump seats, it's up to you. There's different ways of looking at it. Personally, I prefer the jump. They're kind of cool. They're part of the Land Cruiser history. Now, upsides, when they're folded up, they're out of your way. You have a completely unencumbered cargo space, ideal for max versatility for hauling stuff or throwing your dogs in the back or goats or whatever the heck you want in there. But it's completely smooth floor surface. The bench seat, yeah, it's cool because it has headrests and it has 3-point belts. So for heavy routine use, that might be worthy of consideration. Yes, it's removable. Yes, it tucks, as in the seat back folds down. Yes, it tumbles forward so you have more cargo room. And yes, it's removable, but quite frankly, it's a bit of a pain in the butt to remove because you have those nasty little, what I call Jesus clips, because invariably, you know, those like C-clamp-on clips, you go to pull them off and fling, and you go, Jesus. So anyway, even if you do remove it, you're still left with the seat belts on the floor as well as the pivot towers. So there's a couple constrictions. They're both cool. It's up to you. In this case, Mr. Old School went jump, Mr. New School went bench. Also, not a very common option, but oddly enough, both of these trucks selected it, would be the US made by our friends at Tuffy cargo / munitions, whatever you want to throw in there, gun-rated locking steel storage boxes. Now, this is a good opportunity to show you how we move those around. So in the case of a client wants 1 or max 2 of those locking steel boxes in the cargo area, and they ordered the forward-facing bench, in that case, we put them on top of the inner wheel wells and we orientate them so they hinge outboard, and whoever's sitting in the back can access their junk open and close. Whereas when you do a jump seat, obviously that's not going to be a good fit location. So actually we put them on the floor so that we maximize under the radar's quasi-security. Not like you're ever going to be able to break into one of those if they're locked, but when those jump seats are folded down, you don't even see the boxes. And in that case, we orientate the hinges for max accessibility in that case. Another neat option you don't see too often, we've been working with Viair. When clients want an air compressor, traditionally people just, there's like a air chuck fitting hose kit thingamajigger you can do for the A or B compressor. Super slow. Personal opinion, they're reliable, but leave it alone. Leave it just for your locking differentials. You really want an air compressor for dirigibles, for rapid reinflation of your tires after your off-road adventure. Go with Viair. So we integrate them pretty cleverly. We have a steel skid plate, waterproof harness, waterproof switch, and it's stuffed up inside of the driver's rear wheel well where it's not taking up any space that could be used for anything else. And it's really nice and accessible. It's a quick chuck fitting. There's a little baggie with all the goodies that you need to do so. And that's a nice setup. Audio system. Both trucks, Pioneer 8300, latest release NEX multimedia head unit with CD, HD, FM, AM, satellite. Both ordered the reverse camera option. Both did the elevated Icon audio system, which runs amplifier, bass circuit, and focal audio speakers with separates. So you've got 2 in the front built in down by the kick panels, 2 in the far back, and then the bass is integrated into the driver's seat mount. Along with the amplifier with an access panel for rapid tunability. Although we did work with an audio engineer and set those up to a real sweet spot, so when you get it, you're good to go. Probably the coolest new upgrade that they provide with the NEX current generation head unit, CarPlay rocks. Now wireless CarPlay, which rocks mo better. So there's that. Floor mats are always removable, rubber-backed, and insulated. In the case of this custom request interior, we did not do the Chilowich. We did a really nice, durable, woven mat. It's that Hargarten square weave that we initially started exploring in our derelicts and one-off vehicles. This one has the aux front and rear lights. This one has no aux lighting in the front, but does have the aux lighting in the rear. Stainless steel for the hood hooks, which I don't know, I'm starting to wonder if I should powder coat those gray to match all the other trim, or should I leave them like it is because it picks up the hardware, nuts and bolts, hubcaps. What do you guys think? Please comment and let me know your thoughts. Amp Research power steps on all 4 doors, outfitted on both of these trucks. Other interior general design changes. These trucks both have the optional door map pockets. We use the same assembly for that as well as our interior door handle releases, but on Old School we carry that gray finish through on those items, and on New School we keep it in the volcanic black. The dash designs are probably the most significant interior change. Again, same proven aircraft manufacturers, Southern California produced for the wiring harnesses. All the switches are easy to source, readily available from well-distributed suppliers. However, to create a different aesthetic, the switches are the same, the gauge manufacturer is the same, the dimensions are the same, the circuit boards are the same. However, New School has a more kind of modern backlit LED, a more aggressive or progressive or whatever font typeface in the gauges, which carries through to the identification tag for transfer case control and is also consistent on the dash knobs. However, moving on to old school dash, well, we wanted it more old school. So New School's got the grab handle and the center LED clock, just because I'm a watch geek and it was a good excuse to add a clock. Old school, it didn't seem appropriate. So it's more old school. It is simplified. It still has the in-dash AC heat vent defrost functionality. Gauges still made by Dakota Digital, but for those I designed a different aesthetic that references the original Toyota Land Cruiser for typeface and iconography and general layout. I also machined a unique 6061 billet dash panel and glove box door design for old school that again is referencing the original design versus New School is more technical, modern, and Inside Story was actually inspired by the Bell & Ross BR03 watch because I'm a geek. Dash knobs, again, font consistent, milled aluminum, silica, media blasted, and clear anodized on New School. Old School, they look like the original 60s knobs, but the original 60s knobs, actually the 70s version, they didn't really hold up very well and they get kind of sticky and the paint fades. So those are actually also machined in aluminum, then powder coated, and then epoxy infilled, but I kept the original graphic and style and shape of those. So it just creates a different kind of vibe when you get in an old school versus you get in a New School. So I hope that was fun for you. It was kind of fun for me. I didn't write a script, rehearse anything. I didn't have much coffee. I'm sick and I winged it. Hopefully it was sufferable. As always, thank you so much for your support for Icon. Our team really appreciates it and it wouldn't be possible without your support. Even if you can't tolerate the price point of our vehicles, your understanding and your knowledge of the brand and your ability to tell that story to others has really been critical for us, and I'm living the dream. It's an honor to be able to call this a job. Any questions? 818-280-3333. The website is icon4x4.com. The Instagram and the Facebook are icon4x4. Thank you again for your time, and I'll see you on the next one.